So this is the first track of a pre-submission, let's say, to enter the competition to make a Portuguese course pending an official submission. So I will play the audio and insert my comments in between for all future course writers to use.
So today we will be diving into the Portuguese language, Brazilian Portuguese to be specific. So there are lots of countries that speak Portuguese, Portugal included, of course. But what's interesting is that Brazil actually has the highest number of Portuguese speakers in the world. So in South America, Brazil borders mainly Spanish-speaking countries. And you might have heard that Spanish and Portuguese are very much alike. If you already know some Spanish, you'll find that a lot of words are similar, if not the exact same.
Rather than referring to Spanish, I would refer to other Romance or Roman languages like Italian, Spanish, Romanian.
But for this course, we'll just be using English as our base language to learn from. Take, for instance, the word for coffee. The word for coffee in Portuguese is café.
Café.
It's also the same word for café, like a coffee shop. Similar to English, right? Café.
Café.
But in English, if we want to point out a specific coffee that we want, we'd use the word the in front. I want the coffee instead of just I want coffee, right?
This would maybe be reinventing the wheel unless you have a reason for drawing our attention to this here, no? Otherwise, there's no need to mention if we're talking about a specific coffee, no? We only need to say the coffee is o café, or rather the coffee is o café, no? Emphasizing the. And then everything else is understood intuitively. And then maybe you could ask, so what is the word for the, if you wanted to hang around on that a little longer so that the student reproduces o, having to, disconnect o café, which is what was presented.
So to say the coffee, in Portuguese, we put the word o in front of it. So café becomes o café.
O café.
Right. And what would be the coffee shop?
O café. Wait, just o café, wouldn't it?
Yeah. The coffee shop, same thing.
I like this callback. You get the student to recall that secondary information, no? And thus cue to him that he should be following you closely, but also not automatically. This is what he's realizing as he starts to look for the word for shop, then realizes that you haven't seen it, laughs, and gets the point.
O café. So now, to say the word I in Portuguese, I is eu.
Ew.
At first, it almost sounds like you're saying ew, gross, right?
I would avoid the ooh gross hook for now, maybe. It's probably not the best associations to be making at the beginning of, delving into a new language. That might sound silly, but we have to bear in mind, how vulnerable a lot of people come to this experience. And I don't know, any kind of like ew association at the beginning is maybe not great. That might sound silly. And here you could also make a connection to ego, as is done in Greek and maybe some other courses as well. This is where this word is coming from, eu. And you might even want to elaborate on that later for a possible consonant shift. There might be a possible consonant shift here between G and W or G and U. We can connect U and W, even just by the way they're named. No, like as you find between guard and war, or William and Guillermo, this W to G consonant shift. So you might make a callback to ego and U later in some context possibly.
So if you want to say I'm going in Portuguese, like you're planning to do or to go somewhere, you say eu vou.
Eu vou.
Eu vou, I'm going. Vou has an OU at the end, so the O and the U blend together to make this O sound.
Blend together might feel like the opposite here, like in English, you, where O and U blend together in the word you, no? Here it seems you're saying the opposite happens, that we hear both vowels. So maybe blend together is not the term. Maybe it'd be better to compare it to you in English and how that's not going to happen. We're going to hear both vowels, vou.
Eu vou.
Eu vou.
So if someone asked, who's going to the party? how would you say I'm going?
Eu vou.
Eu vou. It's not required to say the party after eu vou because the party is already implied, right? So just like in English, you can simply say I'm going, eu vou.
Eu vou.
So now you know you can answer questions with eu vou.
This content in itself at this stage, using eu vou for yes as an affirmation to questions or certain types of questions, which feels a little bit unclear because we don't have enough material to make that clear, right? And also because you're saying, like just like in English, we can leave the party out. So if this is a general way we can say, yes, it's not like English. So it's not clear. Now, because of that, it might feel a little bit like, okay, why is the teacher telling me about this? Why is the teacher telling me that, the party can be implied? And then if you add that to other information that has come that has maybe been unnecessary, like about talking about a specific coffee, then we start to get this debris of stuff we don't know if it's going to be relevant, let's say. So yeah, that's something to be very conscious of.
But what is the word for yes in Portuguese? A simple yes will be sim.
Sim.
Sim is spelled S-I-M. But the M becomes very soft when it's at the end of a word. So it becomes sim.
Sim.
So now let's put the words together. How would you say, yes, I'm going?
Sim, eu vou.
Sim, eu vou. And once again, this yes can also be optional. You can always respond with just eu vou.
Eu vou.
So now the great thing about eu vou is that we can use it to make even longer sentences. We can put eu vou in front of verbs. Verbs are actions. Sometimes they'll have the word to in front of them. To eat, to travel, to sleep.
Verbs are not actions. We should stick to form. No, we don't describe words in this way generally.
And the verb to drink will be beber.
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 Here you could use beverage for beber as a good connection. You might also later use that for a consonant shift between B and V, if that's useful in Portuguese, between Portuguese and English.
So notice that to drink is two words in English, but in Portuguese, beber is just one word. The to is implied.
And good for stopping to say how beber is one word and to drink is two words. No, this does a lot of work. It helps us separate meaning and language so that we can work with one and turn it into the other. So this is a kind of consciousness that we increase during the course time.
So how would you say, I'm going to drink?
Eu vou beber. Beber.
Eu vou beber. This sentence can imply alcohol as well, just like in English. If you were going to a party, the context of the sentence might change, right? So how would you tell your friend, I'm gonna drink?
I love how you got the student to translate the same sentence again, but you separated it with a little description so it doesn't feel like repetition. And you gave it this new meaning as well, so it doesn't feel like repetition. You're like, tonight I'm getting smashed almost, right? Tonight I'm gonna drink. So yeah, I really liked how you did that there.
Eu vou beber.
Eu vou beber. So tell me again, what was the word for coffee?
Café.
And what was the coffee?
O café.
So this time, how would you say, I'm going to drink the coffee?
Eu vou beber o café.
So, the coffee. But if you wanted to say coffee in general, you can just take off that o. So what would be, I'm going to drink coffee?
Eu vou beber café.
Eu vou beber café. You can omit that o to make it just coffee in general.
The way you repeat, you can omit that or to make this coffee in general, makes it feel like, we're doing something more complicated or less intuitive than what we are doing, no? Like we have something to remember here, some process, and we don't. We're, of course, just doing what we do in English. I would rather say, and how would you say I'm going to drink coffee rather than the coffee? Or even without the contrast of, rather than the coffee. And then if your student gets it wrong, then that's an opportunity for you to do some useful reinforcement, no? And repeat, I'm going to drink coffee rather than the coffee. And then that does some work in getting the student to kind of intuitively separate those ideas, even if no one ever stops to describe the difference between the two.
So what was the word for yes?
Sim.
So how would you say, yes, I'm going to drink coffee?
Sim. Eu vou beber café.
Eu vou beber café. Perfect. So now we know how to say to drink, but let's learn how to say to eat some food. So we know to drink is beber. So luckily, the word for to eat rhymes with beber. Comer.
I won't call this a rhyme. I would just say that they end in the same way and that this ER represents two. And in this way, you're also making a callback to your previous mention of like two words in English versus one in Portuguese, no? To drink, beber. This is much better than luckily, no? Which implies that the similarity is coincidental.
Comer.
Just like beber, comer has the letters ER at the end. So something important, the R at the end of a word in Portuguese has different pronunciations because there's a lot of different accents in Brazil, just like in English, right? So you can follow whichever accent you like, or you can just copy whatever you hear. Comer.
Comer.
You don't need to worry about perfecting this R because it'll be pretty obvious that you're saying the word to eat. Comer.
And we want to hear those accents. We want to hear examples of that in this moment. And that would also help you contextualize better what you say about not needing to perfect the R. So, you know, giving examples of some pronunciations in which it's pronounced in a more Englishy way or omitted almost completely, no?
Comer.
So how would you say I'm going to eat?
Eu vou comer.
And what was the word for yes?
Sim.
So together, yes, I'm going to eat.
Sim. Eu vou comer.
Perfect. Sim, eu vou comer. So the word for banana in Portuguese, can you take a wild guess what it would be?
I would definitely give the student the word here. Just tell them banana is the same word, but we will pronounce the vowels more clearly, banana rather than banana. You know, you could use it to work on the vowels, but just saying, you know, like, guess what it would be. It's not really based on anything, no, at this stage. I guess you're seeing words that are similar in English and Portuguese with café and banana, but that's not a strong thread running through this class, I don't think, for that to feel like it fits, you know?
Banana?
Banana. Luckily, it's the same word. If we want to say the banana, we say a banana.
A banana.
So this is the banana, not a banana, I would clarify here.
So how would you say I'm going to eat the banana?
Eu vou comer a banana.
Eu vou comer a banana.
Here you could repeat the English translation back again to make sure that, you know, it's understood the banana.
Do you remember the coffee?
O café?
So now you might have noticed the coffee uses o in front of it, and the banana uses a, right?
I like the way you do this contrast to introduce the two articles. That's very neat. But what you're about to say, words like places or objects, is again not how we should be defining major word groups, no? Like verbs or nouns. We do this through their form, no? So verbs are words we can put to in front of, and nouns are words that we can put the in front of, which is especially fitting here.
The reason for this difference is because words like places and objects in Portuguese are considered masculine or feminine. So basically, the words have genders. Now, of course, English doesn't have this concept.
It's not strictly true that English doesn't have this concept of gender. We have he and she, him and her, whereas Turkish, for example, has only o for both he and she. So you might want to take that angle to show how English also does what Portuguese is doing here, in fact, whereas other languages like Turkish don't, no? Only that Portuguese takes it to the next level. So this kind of makes it much more approachable, no, rather than this is alien to English. No, this isn't alien to English. We're already making this differentiation. Just Portuguese takes it to the next level. So this is another idea that is recycled from other courses, no, and helps stress the importance for new course writers to always be doing some LT course. No, there will be a lot of ideas that you'll be able to recycle.
And bananas and coffee aren't humans, but it's just the word that's masculine or feminine, not the actual thing itself.
And I do like how you emphasized how the word is the thing that has gender, no, rather than the thing it refers to having the gender. Although, of course, there is an overlap that can be later elaborated on for interest, no. But when it comes to sentence building, we are thinking about the gender of the word.
So café happens to be a masculine word, so we'll use o café. But what was the banana?
A banana.
A banana. Banana is feminine, so we'll use a in front of it.
For the. So let's not miss these opportunities for repetition or masked repetition where it's not obvious that we're constantly reaffirming or and I mean the. Otherwise what we're hearing is that we will be using on a. And there will be some students that will be like, using for what? Like, I always have to put that there?
Try not to confuse the feminine the, a, for the English word a, like a dog, a tree.
Rather than telling the learner to try not to confuse a and the, we should be, as teachers, as writers, now taking the steps to make sure that they're not confused. So small things like my earlier comment, like, you know, affirming this is the banana, not a banana. When we just instruct a learner to simply not confuse, then we run the risk of just sending mental energy in a general direction. So in this case, the association of a in Portuguese and a in English, without crafting anything with that energy that we send in that direction. So we might even create a confusion which wasn't there.
It sounds similar, but a banana means the banana, like it has special powers or something.
I think I need an emoji for my reaction there.